If you open the pages of the Wall Street Journal's opinion section, you'll quickly run into a very specific type of fury. It's loud, it's aggressive, and it's laser-focused on the perceived evils of modern socialism and the youth culture allegedly propping it up. Take Andy Kessler's Champagne Socialists column. He diagnoses the anxieties of young voters as the direct result of, quote, worthless college degrees and TikTok-length attention spans. He actively hunts for political lightning rods, frequently zeroing in on figures like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to generate a reliable surge of cultural outrage among his readership. Then, without missing a beat, he pivots from tax policy to mocking the red carpet elites. He skewers Hollywood wealth, calling out Gwyneth Paltrow and the let-them-eat-cake celebrities as hypocrites who decry capitalism while enjoying its most exclusive perks. Millions of readers consume this highly charged rhetoric every week. They absorb these culture war takes under the assumption that the man writing them is a battle-tested financial mastermind, dispensing wisdom backed by years of navigating the global markets. A significant distance exists between loud political punditry and actual economic reality. To understand how modern financial media operates, we have to look past the inflammatory columns and audit the man behind the megaphone. In March 2023, Silicon Valley Bank failed. It was the largest bank collapse in over a decade, a complex crisis that demanded rigorous, objective analysis to understand the threat of a wider panic. This chart shows the actual mechanics of the disaster. On the left, you see the Federal Reserve aggressively hiking interest rates. On the right, SVB's bond portfolio value takes a lethal nosedive. Combine that severe mismatch with a risk department lacking a chief risk officer, and the bank was doomed. Yet Kessler published an explanation bypassing the math entirely. He suggested the bank failed because its board was distracted by diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Financial professionals tore into the column. Experts pointed out the absurdity of taking a structural balance sheet failure and aggressively linking it to a political hot-button issue. It's a textbook example of what critics call his corporate social Darwinism. It is an ideology that champions extreme deregulation, yet reflexively blames systemic market failures on progressive social policies. In the wreckage of Silicon Valley Bank, Kessler functioned as a political operative, weaponizing a banking crisis to feed a pre-existing culture war. If his analysis of major economic events is driven by ideology rather than data, we need to ask how he earned such a prestigious platform at the Wall Street Journal in the first place. This chart lays out his Wall Street claim to fame, Velocity Capital. At its peak, it controlled $1 billion. Compared to $10 billion behemoths like Quantum or Tiger, he was a mid to small-tier player. He achieved an impressive sprint, multiplying investors' money 10 times over. But look closely at the timeline. His operational window was confined between 1996 and 2001. His explosive growth was entirely tethered to the historic late 90s dot-com bubble. Investment giants build their authority by surviving decades of deep recessions, grinding bear markets, and multiple economic cycles. Kessler's active management career was a 5-year sprint in a single direction. He capitalized on a well-timed tactical victory during an extraordinary tech boom. Then he cashed out at the top and successfully parlayed that single win into a lifetime of authority as a market guru. After closing the fund in 2001, he never returned to asset management. Instead, he pivoted into the role of a full-time author and commentator. Kessler has mastered the art of storytelling, specializing in the translation of dry financial mechanics into the kind of digestible, politically charged narratives that keep a massive audience engaged. To do this, he relies heavily on visual extremes. He consistently points to the failures of state control in places like Havana to justify his rigid opposition to any form of domestic market regulation. This specific media model is dangerous because it replaces the hard work of actual macroeconomic education with the cheap dopamine of political outrage. The consequence for the public is severe. We end up spending our energy fighting over manufactured, click-driven culture wars, while the actual structural mismanagements threatening the economy go ignored. The next time a prominent Wall Street guru offers a perfectly polarizing, deeply political scapegoat for a complex financial crisis, don't just look at the target they're pointing at. Take a step back and audit the guru's track record.